All right, guys, check it out. This is the part of training we call the Tinder show. I'm going to go through quite a few different types of man-made and natural tinders, and we'll examine some of the different properties of those and how they burn, what they're like, their flash points, things like that. Hopefully you can see everything's good. We'll start off with some Sterno. This is the stuff you see on the buffet lines, and it's great. It's like legal napalm. For that, just a dab will do you. This stuff burns pretty hot and for a long time, and I love it because it's just so much fun. But it just takes not too much temperature to get it going, and it burns so hot that it's hard to see sometimes. But there we go. Okay, so if you're going to a place that's really damp, wet, things like that, this is going to be a good tinder for you. Another one like we used on our immediate action fire just a few minutes ago, if you watched that, is cotton ball and Vaseline. Now notice this thing isn't drenched in Vaseline. It just has a little bit on there. It doesn't need a lot. But what we're going for in a common reoccurring theme is going to be hair-like and fibrous. Okay, so we pull that apart so that way it can get air and everything in there. And then, let's see, where's our metal match? Again, this one doesn't take a lot of heat either, and it's going to burn for a good while. It's going to burn pretty hot. See how easy that is? I taught my 10-year-old how to build basically the immediate action fire with this just the other day. It's so easy. So it's inexpensive. You can improvise. Most people have Vaseline and cotton balls and a Ziploc bag, and it will last you forever. You can take it anywhere. I absolutely love that. Let's see, what else we got? So we have another man-made tinder, but it's one you wouldn't really think about. It's going to be some tortilla chips. These and like Cheetos and Fritos and stuff like that have a lot of oil in them, and they will catch on fire. You can do it with a metal match. You just need to break it down. Again, smaller surface area is going to equal a lower flash point. You know, I'm not saying burn up all your food, but if that's all you got, it works. So there's our tortilla chip. What else? We've got some Chapstick. Chapstick is made of petroleum. And what does petroleum do? Yeah, it burns just like petroleum jelly or Vaseline like we were just talking about. You could take, if you have a little bit of a medical kit, take that and kind of smush it in there with some gauze, and that's going to burn fairly well. You can also take animal fat, good dense animal fat, and do this with cotton and make like a wick out of it, and that is pretty cool. That's a fun little trick. Unfortunately, I don't have any good animal fat to do an example with, but if you want to try it, just get a little chunk of beef fat and then tear a little piece of t-shirt and mush it all together and make like a Hershey kiss and light the tip of that thing, and that's gonna work. It's gonna burn for a while. It smells great. Survival students love it, but they also don't like it because they all start getting really hungry. Next is one of these magnesium bars. These I'm not a huge fan of, and these are more of like a supplement, these magnesium shavings, for other types of tinders. But they're just kind of a pain in the butt. See if I can even get one to light. I like to take something like pine needles or, you know, whatever other tinder, and put some of these shavings in there, and that seems to do a better job at supplementing than necessarily being a tinder all by itself. But that's my personal experience. There we go. And that's more of like a flash tinder when it acts that way. Did you see how quickly that went up? If you use something like gasoline, that's another flash tinder. You've probably lost an eyebrow before at a frat party or something, but gasoline, all those types of things, they're going to burn real fast, real hot, and then they're going to be gone. So that means your next stage of kindling or next stage of tinder has to catch on fire very easily and have a low flash point, just because it's not going to have an intense long heat source. This stuff is cedar bark, and it's pretty great. Again, just hair-like, dry, and fibrous. One of the things we would do as survival instructors is, as we were on the trail walking around, if we saw like some moss or we saw something that maybe we want to make a fire out of later, but it was damp, we would collect it, put it in our pocket, and a lot of times that would dry it out by the time we were ready to make a fire. And so you want to be collecting those things while those resources are around. There's a saying of make hay while the sun is shining, and I thoroughly believe that. Take every opportunity you can to collect resources. If you don't, hey, maybe you've got something like a plastic utensil set. Again, plastic is petroleum. So we can take our knife and we can shave off, oh, come on, just some shavings here. All right, check this out. Okay, so there you go. Figure we save some time there. But petroleum products will burn. Maybe it's a seat cushion, maybe it's a fuel hose or something like that. If you shave it down and make it hair-like and fibrous or feathery, and increase that surface area, then it's going to do the job for you. So let's see what else we got. Ah, yes. So you may have some of these windproof matches, and if you've ever tried to just light one as is, it's a nightmare. They break and you're like, man, I paid like $5 for these and they're all broken in half. Well, there's a trick that you don't hear a lot about, and that is that you need to score the top of the match where you're going to strike it, because it has a wax protective coating on there, and that's what makes them waterproof. So if you score it, scratch it up a little bit, it's going to work for you that first time, and you're not going to be wasting those things, because it just will break your heart when that happens. All right, and there you go. And again, if you're lighting these things, you need to have all your material ready to go, prepared, because you can see they're going to burn up pretty quickly, some faster than others. And also think about that next stage that's going on top of that. What's the flash point of that? And that's going to really determine your requirements for tinder. But the more you have, the better, and collect that stuff early and often while you can, and get it drying out. But other things too we can think about are grasses. We can take them and bunch them up. Again, make those things hair-like and fibrous. You can use grasses for fuel also. If you're in the grasslands and there aren't any trees, you could take these things and you can take grass and tie them into knots. If you have metal wire, you can tie it around there and basically make logs out of those things. And just as long as they're dense and tight, they'll burn for a while. Actually, you'd be surprised. Now with this kind of stuff, it's going to have a higher flash point, so you're going to have to kind of build up that heat in places. But there you go. All right, where there's a will, there's a way. And like I said earlier in my other video, fire is a nicety. It's not a necessity. If you can make one, awesome. It's going to make your necessities a lot easier to obtain, whether it's signaling, boiling water, warmth, drying clothes out, improvising, cooking food. The list goes on, man. Fire is awesome. It's just like survival TV, and when you're hearing coyotes or wolves or whatever out in the distance and you've got that fire, it feels a heck of a lot better. So if you can do it, go for it. But if not, you really need to focus on your shelter and your clothing. Take care of those things, and those are really the most important lines of defense in personal protection. But that's a lesson for another day. So hopefully you guys had as much fun as I did doing that. I love doing Tinder Show. I wish I had some more stuff, but I think you get the idea. So, all right, we'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.